I'm co-host James Ash.
And I'm co-host Phil Scaife.
Welcome to the Business Lockdown. So welcome on today's show, none other than Mr. Sir Andy Crozier from Insight Photography. Andy and I have known each other for a few years now, and Andy shoots a hell of a lot of weddings, but he's very open and honest that, you know, he doesn't actually mind what he shoots and where he shoots it. He'll have hard hats and high-vis jackets on left, right and centre, from engineering companies to big commercial projects. And he's the first guest to join us with a virtual background. So welcome, Andy. Thanks for joining us on today's show.
Hey, no problem, James. It's really great to be here. And obviously I'm in the outer rim right now. As soon as I heard about lockdown, I just got in my spaceship and came up to, me and Elon Musk are pretty good pals. So he just gave me the keys to his place that he's got just off Saturn, right? So that's where I am.
So people listen to us just off the podcast will be thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? Andy joins us with the virtual background, and which people new to Zoom is that you can actually use virtual backgrounds. You can upload your own virtual background, whatever that might be, a family picture, or
when people see a virtual background, they want one themselves, right? So like the business group that I run that meets on a Thursday morning, I rock up with a virtual background. They'll go, "We want one too." And actually, it's showing people how easy it is. And I've done this with a few people now. I've just sent them a few steps of how to change the background. So I was supposed to be in Austria this week with my snowboarding crew, and obviously we didn't make it. So Saturday night we had a virtual après ski party, and we were all dressed in our ski gear, and I changed my background to the Matterhorn. Yeah, so it was absolutely fantastic because it looked like I was in a ski resort.
I've got to be honest. It was about 3 days ago. I had a play with virtual backgrounds. I'd heard of them, but I just hadn't had the time to have a play about with it. And we were on a group Zoom call, and with a group of mates. And I put Tiger King as a background behind.
Too. I've had Tiger King too.
And I did love it. I found an old profile picture of me as well, and I put that up, and I kind of lined my face up with that, so it looked very strange as I'm sticking my tongue out and playing about with it. So you can have a lot of fun.
It's good fun, and it's amazing how Zoom has. People were obviously using Zoom way before lockdown, but Zoom has become absolutely super important for the way that I'm communicating. Obviously, because we don't have to have in-person meetings to do the kind of things that we were doing before, so hence we're saving fuel, we're saving damage to the environment, we're getting things done more quickly. It feels like we're really agile with this technology. You can frame meetings up in a really distinctive way. Say, look, these are the terms of reference for the meeting. This is what we want to get done, and that kind of chit chat, which can pepper in-person meetings, which actually are great, but when you stack out your week and you go, right, 40 hours of productivity this week, what's percentage that we lost to agile chit chat, when you're up against it and you're fighting fires right now, every minute counts, right? So being able to frame a meeting and get right into it, and then address action points and move on, it just becomes super efficient, and nobody seems to be having a problem with it. Some of the oldest people that I do business with and some of the oldest people that I support in my community are using Zoom. It's fantastic.
Well, that's great. And there's so many people that have jumped onto Zoom who've never used it before. You surely can't be taking photographs, but Zoom can't be allowing you to take photographs. Or does it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's really interesting what's happening in the space that I occupy, which is obviously, content creation and generally photography, but videography as well. So the virtual ski party that I was on Saturday night, obviously I'm the photographer in our crew. There's 12 of us that go away a couple of times a year together. And obviously on Saturday night, there was a couple of sherbets involved in our après ski party. And what we did is the guys on the other end of the line shared their screen, and they had YouTube on with all the very, very traditional Austrian, German après-ski music, right? I was dancing at my end. So we had YouTube, we had my friend's screen with them on it, and then me with my screen on it. And I was actually directing them and screenshotting as I directed them, right? And I put together a gallery on my client boutique where we share all of our images, and it actually looks like a full photo shoot. It's brilliant. Not all of them you would share with your mother, right? But actually,
I can imagine.
When I think about what we lost to this situation that we find ourselves in, which are those moments and those plans that we had, you know, and I think about being able to meet with these people virtually and being able to capture not just the memories that I have of being in that meeting, but actually a set of pictures from screenshots. It's very, very different, right? But it's something. Do you know what I mean? It's something.
Yeah, yeah.
And some photographers are raising money for the NHS in their communities by performing photo shoots on people's front doorsteps, right? So obviously with a long lens, you can be socially distanced, but you can go around in your community and shoot pictures of people, and then the donation that those families give you, you know, is going to worthy causes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Now the thing is, a lot of photographers that I know, particularly pure wedding photographers, I mean, their businesses this year are pretty much written off. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm in a bit of a different situation because of the diversity that we've got in our business. But I mean, I'm like super busy working on things which normally you don't have time. That back burner stuff that we all talk about. And yeah. I'm knee deep in back burner stuff right now. I mean, I commissioned 3 new websites right before lockdown, and I did have the opportunity to pull the plug on that work. But my thoughts were quite the opposite. We've got to be ready for when the doors are open again. We want to be out those gates at like Usain Bolt speed. Do you know what I mean? And so we're working really hard on the business at the moment, and so I've not got tons of time to do things like the doorstep shoots. You know, I have been doing a little bit of paid work. In fact, I had a day's work 2 days ago. But I'm also supporting quite a few families in the community. So it's whether you've got, you know, the time, and you know, everybody's doing what they can do. Do you know what I mean? So it's mm-hmm. I mean, it's like we all agree it's the craziest time that we've ever had in our lives, right?
I think that's an understatement, right? We had one of our team members. There was just to go on that. It's about trying to be as efficient as you can be, but maximising on your resources to be as helpful. And we had one of our team members. There was an independent grocery shop that was flat out providing free deliveries for people when they couldn't get to the supermarkets. And our team member was like, why don't we give them some support on social media? Why don't we help them out? Because we can do that. And I said, yeah, but that's that level of support for one independent, whereas we can do something far greater to reach and benefit thousands. And that's where the business lockdown came from. We were like, right, we've been banging on about doing podcasts for a year, Phil and I, and we've bought various different pieces of equipment, and then we've changed tactics and strategies and who do we want to interview and all of that. And then this came around, was just like, right, now this is what we can do.
Absolutely.
We can connect with loads of people. Everybody's in the same position. It's great to then kind of get in touch with people you haven't spoken with for years, update on how people are pivoting and adapting under these circumstances. Because it can resonate, and it resonates with so many people that we're finding. We're literally reaching thousands. So, yeah, I hear you on, and we're flat out busy as well. So, I mean, I mean,
when this all started, right? I just had a vision. I had a vision that God, whatever interpretation of your God is or anybody's God, and Mother Earth, Gaia, right, were sat somewhere, wherever in the universe, and they're having a coffee, they're having a campuchuchu, right, and they're saying to each other, you know, those guys down there, they're absolutely, they're just losing it completely, right? We've got to do something. And I just had this vision of them both putting their hands on a red button, right, a red pause button, and saying, we're going to give them an opportunity right now. It's going to hurt, right? There's going to be pain, a lot of pain, but we're going to give them an opportunity to redress the balance, right? And that's really helped me. It's really helped me because, you know, I mean, I've got a strong belief system that keeps me going, right? And being able to visualize that type of intervention, right, you know, has just really helped me to kind of put the brakes on and then go, right, okay, let's just get our heads around what's happening here. And now let's plan on what we're going to do between now and whenever, right? What's our opportunity here? And not about what's our opportunity in business to you know, profit, but from a wholesale point of view, what can I do for my community? What can I do for my tribe? What can I do for my business? What can I do for my people? What can I do for myself? What can I do for my dog? What can I do for the person that I walk by in the street? You know, every single moment, you know, as it was before, but every single moment has become a total opportunity to be a connector, a facilitator, somebody that can help, you know, and you know when you have that in your innate skill set, and it's never been more important to be, you know, that type of person, you know. So it's a great opportunity for us all.
I fully agree, and it's interesting you hear your philosophy on that, and because there's a lot of stuff coming through, that the belief that the earth just needs to take a step back, get its breath back, and actually following that, there's been, you know, you've seen the Himalayas for the first time from certain viewpoints in 30 years, you know, like Delhi, the clarity across the city of Delhi, and the wildlife coming back to Venice. Yeah, the canals of Venice. With your philosophy, you kind of, you know, you wonder if the as you said, the God or whoever's up there and taking a look at what we're doing, and maybe, you know, the Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old, will throw her in and you know, get thousands around the world protesting and see what can be done. And when that doesn't make the impact that they maybe wanted, that, like, okay, yeah, as you said, a big red button.
Well, this is about a shift in consciousness, right? And I certainly don't want to get deep and philosophical, but I think we know collectively as a species that I don't know whether I can swear or whether you'll let this out, but we fucked it. Right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We have we've totally tooled our earth, and you know, I'm not a massive environmentalist, right? But everything has to be in balance in life, right? And that seems very, very natural to me, and it seems very reasonable when you look at what we've done to the planet. That if there is some form of you know, higher power, whatever that is, whether it is just the force of nature, you know, it has sent us a message to say, come on, you got to get a grip now. And it's not just about the environment, right? It's about our thinking, because the only way that you know, protest has been great, and you know, the Extinction Rebellion has been great, and all that kind of stuff, and all of the anti-capitalism movements, you know, that's all been obviously really big, right? But it has to resonate on the individual level. Do you know what I mean? And so what I think is that what's happening with this current reset, you know, is that it's getting through to the individual level, because people, particularly, obviously there's a lot of people that aren't furloughed and a lot of people that are still working. And it's a shame for them, because maybe they're not getting the same opportunity for those that have, you know, inadvertently had to slow down. We've got this space, right? We've got this sabbatical that nobody ever imagined they would get in their careers. You know, 2 months off, 2 months off to actually stop and think and pause and be open to all of these messages that are out there through nature, through whatever podcast you listen to, whatever conversations you're having with positive people. We've got to see this as an opportunity.
Love your optimism, mate. Love your optimism. Absolutely. What have you been, with all that in mind, Andy, what have you been surprised at? What shocked you? You maybe not see, we've been optimistic and so positive about everything you've spoke about there. What shocked you? And that's a very broad question.
I'll be absolutely honest with you. Right before lockdown, the aerial blew off on my roof, right, on my house. And I didn't figure it out until about a week ago. And it was only because I turned the telly on for the first time. I've not watched any media whatsoever. It's not that I've made some political decision that I'm not going to. I'm just not drawn to that in my life. Do you know what I mean? I've got the main headlines of the daily briefings through the BBC website, but I haven't watched anything on TV at all. The TV has remained off for the whole duration that I've been at home. And I've just been listening to tunes, and I've been watching YouTube on bread making and doing my raised beds in the garden and how to look after my chickens better. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I've been drawn to. I've not been drawn to the minutiae of the situation, because the situation is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. It hasn't seemed a useful period to spend being absorbed in somebody else's agenda, right? For what's not important to me,
Interesting. Yeah, no, absolutely interesting. And yeah, sounds like your productivity on things around the house as well, kind of getting back to nature a bit there has been key.
Well, I mean, I've hiked 10 to 15K every single day, and my dogs loved that. I'm still journaling out my day as I would do as if I was working. And what's interesting is that I've actually been journaling in blocks rather than in specific tasks. So, and I use a paper journal that's digital. So I write a journal on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, but it's all written. And I've been using much broader brushstrokes for blocking out periods of time. So instead of saying, right, I've got a 10 o'clock meeting there, and then I've got to go pick up that thing there for that client, do this, do that. It's been work, right? So say 8 till 12 is a work period, right? And then 1 till 4 is community. Yeah. So what am I doing for my community between 1 and 4? Okay. Then exercise between 4 and 7, and then work 7 till 9. And of course I don't keep to it religiously, but I just haven't really stopped for once and thought, Jesus Christ, we're in the middle of a bleeding global pandemic. What am I going to do? I think if you just remain present and do what is correct for you, there shouldn't be any problem. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be any problem.
Absolutely. Just going on your hiking every day, we caught up a month or two ago, didn't we? And you spoke about there was some business group you were pulling together, and it was based on was it Norwegic?
Nordic networking.
Nordic networking. I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. Give us a little bit of insight.
Don't forget, James, I have TM'd that.
Yes. You do need to say that, because of course I'll be like, we could take that global.
James is Nordic networking. Yeah. No, I mean it's great. I mean, in fact, my I don't have children, right? So my nephew, my 14-year-old nephew, is also my godson. Like, he doesn't have a father figure in his life every day, and we have a very special relationship, and he's massively into mountain biking. So what he's been doing, he's been joining me on my daily hikes. And what he does is he rocks up on his mountain bike and he's dead into like downhill and free riding and stuff. And we've been going 10, 15 kilometers, and like every 20 seconds he's popping a wheelie, and I'll be like this, watching him like this, you know, then he zips by and I'm like, whoa. And it's cool because we're together, but it's a bit of a kind of, you know, the tranquilo nature of hiking has been a bit compromised. So it came yesterday. I said, dude, why don't you just try hiking with me? Let's give it a go. Yeah. And you know what? We were hiking for 2.5 hours solid, and I had my hike, you know, so it was a solid, proper workout. And we talked all the way around that hike. And when we got back, he said to me, you know, he said, you know, I really enjoyed that. You know, I really enjoyed actually just hiking. I'll come tomorrow and I'll bring my boots rather than my mountain biking trainers. You know, we'll do it properly because I really enjoyed that, you know. Which wow. was super cool. And we're seeing deer, we're seeing all kinds of things, you know, the game birds are out, you know, the birds of prey, absolute. And the blossoms out here right now, you know, we walk across the golf course, which obviously is closed, and the blossom is remarkable. Do you know what I mean? Just absolutely beautiful. So very lucky because I live in South Cave, right? And I can, within 5 minutes of leaving my house, I'm on the trail, and I can go 2 hours and not see anybody.
Amazing. So in many ways, Andy, I've raised this with people we've interviewed, is, so in many ways, does it feel like there's not much change? You know, you were not in the middle of New York or in Italy on 100% lockdown and not able to get any outside space. So is there sometimes it feels a bit strange that there isn't changes to your routine?
Oh, I mean, the thing is that like where I live, our local convenience store is literally out the back door, and you know, obviously you're queuing to get in there, but it's not mental. And I have to say that our local convenience store has done a remarkable job of staying stocked, you know, and it seems that people in this village have been sensible. You know, we do have a pretty vibrant Facebook community, and people have been talking on there, and you know, people have been helping each other, and of course things are different. You know, when you go out on the roads, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm supporting 4 families who are all on like older people that are all on total lockdown. And when I'm running their errands for them, it's bizarre, you know, bizarre. I had to go to Beverley to pick up a prescription for one of the old chaps that I'm supporting. And, you know, I went at like 4:30, and I could not believe it. I was there in no time. Like, there was just no traffic on the roads whatsoever. Yeah, and you know, it is strange. It is strange. But when I worked 2 days ago, I worked in a big industrial fabricators, and that was essential for me to do that work because they'd been working on this prototype machine for 5 months that was going out to Germany, and it had to be photographed. The only one of its kind. It had to be photographed. So they asked me if I would go, and I said, of course. And we talked about what measures they have in place there. When I got there, I mean, it's a big company, you know, started in the 1700s. Hasn't changed much since the 1700s, actually. But all of their office staff were working from home, but all the manufacturers, the fabricators, they were all working as if nothing had changed. You know, they were sat on their machines eating their lunch, of course, by themselves. Very easy for them to maintain a safe working distance from each other. You know, but all the interventions that was required to make it safe for me to be there were in place, and I had no concerns whatsoever.
Interesting. We spoke to interviewed Matt Dass yesterday of Eon
Oh
Media
yeah,
and Springfield
yeah.
Solutions, and he was saying with the Springfield Solutions side of it, the digital label printing company, that they're currently printing 400,000 labels a day for hand sanitizer,
Yeah.
company, and so I got insight into they're still working. So how does that look? And he talked us through some of the procedures he's had to enjoy, and follow government guidelines, of course. But that was really interesting. And yeah, with some people, a show must go on. I mean, that is the case. You're just having to.
Well, I mean, you look at how people are modulating their businesses when they've got capability and they've got competencies that can shift. You know, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, I was speaking to Rob Daisley at Designs the other day. You know, they've got a fairly decent 3D printing capability there, and you know they're printing face masks. You know, you look at over at the UTC in Hull. You know, they've got a big 3D printing capability there. Same thing, they're printing masks. You know, you look at Dyson, what they're doing with you know, with how they shifted. And, you know, I mean, these businesses obviously have the resource to be able to shift quickly and affirmatively. Do you know what I mean? And why wouldn't you? You know, if, I mean, I certainly haven't thought, okay, what are the immediate kind of quick win opportunities that I could do? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not interested. I'm you know, I'm doing other things. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I mean, I've always maintained like 6 months of rainy day fund, right? So it's some, I got bit maybe 8 years ago. I wasn't as diligent with my accounting as what I am now, and I got a tax bill that I couldn't pay, and I'm like, shit, that's never going to happen again. So I changed things, and you know, we work on at least 4 to 6 months rainy day fund, right? So that's allowed us to take the time to actually work on the business. Do you know what I mean? Without, you know, we've not had this massive risk profile that people that are, you know, more hand to mouth and that are more cash dependent, you know, on like you think about, you know, hairdressers and, you know, businesses like that are totally dependent on their week's takings. You know, how if they furloughed their staff, you know, how are they going to be able to, you know, meet April's payroll when that comes in?
Very true. Phil, as you know, they've got two salons, and so I've been privy to that process, and also as a marketing company, as a marketing agency, we market for them. So I'm privy to you know, how they've had to shift with the business and furlough, but also the factors that how do we still represent them on social media? How do we work on their marketing for them and ensure that the brand is still at the forefront within their areas to their existing customers?
That's really interesting because, you know, I work with quite a few marketing companies, and it's been really interesting to see the suggestions for what you can do, and it to me it's all been pretty kind of aligned. You know, what value can you give your clients right now? What are you doing to give? You know, I mean, I've virtually seen no selling whatsoever, and if I see somebody selling on LinkedIn, I generally go, see you later.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I was talking to a recruitment company yesterday, right? And they specialize in, you know, short-term appointments for manufacturing, you know, heavy hitters in the caravan industry. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, normally you think of recruiters as being some of the most cutthroat salespeople that you'll ever come across, right? And you know, my pal who I was talking to yesterday, he wouldn't have any bones about saying, yeah, I'm a salesman, right? But he was saying yesterday, you know, their tack has completely changed. It's about reaching out. It's about having conversations, checking in, you know, and then obviously if there's those opportunities are there and they're present, you know, then they're there to be discussed, because you know, turnover and profit can't be dirty words right now. Do you know what I mean? We're not like saying, you know, the economy is completely shut down, but it's how we get to market right now that's different, right? And you know, some people are really, really hurting, and nobody wants to see some maverick knob, you know, plastering it all over. You know, I've slashed my prices by half. Come and see me now. You know, yada yada yada.
It's a very interesting point. We interviewed Lara Jensen, Hull Girl Done Good. You know, she's just worked with Madonna, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Kylie Minogue. And what I found interesting were the insight in the fashion industry, whereas it's a superficial industry. It's all about bling and how much life of luxury you live and who you rub shoulders with. And Lara was saying how that's changed across the board now, where people are very sensitive on what they put out and how they create content and celebrate that across their social feed. And it's more insightful into how their life has changed, how they maybe come into as a family.
Doesn't it come back to this whole holistic thing that we're experiencing? Because, you know, social media I'm talking about, you know, pre-lockdown in the past tense, as in, you know, that era. But let's face it, I mean, you as well as I were heavily involved in social media, and it was becoming a real drag. You know, I mean, like toxic, and you look at all the problems that we've had, and, you know, the bullying and the celebrity stuff, you know, people taking their lives, and, you know, we've just had a big shift in the paradigm, right? And you know, the kind of hashtag be kind movement actually becomes the new norm, and it's great. I mean, I totally welcome it. I totally applaud it, and think if we can maintain this momentum, you know, with the kind of improvement in the quality of our consciousness and our minds, you know, I mean, then we're doing ourselves a great service, and hopefully social media becomes a better place to hang out. You know, it's social. Do you know what I mean? It's people talking. You reach out to people all the time, but the amount of conversations I've had with, you know, from when I lived in Canada 15 years ago, you know, we had a Montreal catch up on Saturday morning, you know, absolutely fantastic. And you know, a catch up with my old roommates from when I lived in British Columbia. You know, I mean, we obviously comment on each other's stuff over the years on Facebook, but to actually bring those people together, you know, for the first time in 15 years and sit on a Zoom call like this and share stories and experience. I mean, it's taken social media and supercharging it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's becoming super social, which is what really, you know, the original intention for things like Facebook were, for people to be social, not to be using it as some, you know, beating stick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've never seen social media be so positive.
Well, that made me wonder how busy the guys over at Zoom are in California, in San Jose, over there, the headquarters. You think that?
I mean, they are doing this right now. They're going shit the bed. If we could have another coronavirus in 5 years' time, we are good. I mean, obviously, there's always, in tragedy, there will always be winners, won't they? There'll always be people that inadvertently benefit, you know, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing whatsoever. If your business has been positively impacted, I mean, I work closely with a long-standing family business in this area that provide, you know, health hygiene products to a whole range of businesses, obviously restaurants and hotels, through to anybody that needs health and hygiene products. I mean, they are absolutely flat out, you know. I mean, their supply chain has been knackered, you know, so what they've had to do to, you know, keep their customers supplied has been monumental. You know, they've never known demand like it, you know. And there are plenty of businesses that have seen unprecedented demand, right? And there are plenty of businesses whose demand has gone to absolute zero. And what I find really interesting is that, like, if this had been a selective virus, right, that it only, or a problem that was selective, that only, affected certain segments of the economy, or, you look at what happened back in 2008 with the crash, the average working man on the street, they knew that there was a recession. They knew that there was a crisis in the banking, but there certainly wasn't this wholesale widespread effect that has just permeated every single, nook and cranny of society globally.
It's very true. It's very true that we're all in this together. And I've been asked by some guests that are coming on over due course, it's just like, right, who's your audience? What's the general themes? And like, yes, as we call it, the business lockdown, but essentially we've interviewed, as you know, I've interviewed Rigmar from the Hull Buddhist Centre, psychologist, a wellbeing coach, people in fashion industry, because we are all in this together, and we're talking about being a parent at home and running a business, or losing your income and how you're adapting. So that, and very early on, as soon as this struck us all, we looked at it and we just said, well, there are opportunities out there. There are. So it's not a case that there isn't. It's just right finding them. Let's find those opportunities, and then once we find them, we create a plan and we just go for it. And the first week was 1 and 4 a.m.ers from our team. Just
you know that I run a business networking group, right? We meet every Thursday morning historically at Cave Castle. We're part of an international franchise. That franchise were one of the first to cut us off from meeting physically, right? However, what they did immediately, which was really interesting, is they went to work straight away to flip the format to a virtual format, okay? So we've met the last 3 weeks. We've met the last 3 weeks at our normal time on a Thursday morning. 20 of us have shown up, okay? We've had visitors, and I've had business to pass every single week, and so have other members of that group. I've got somebody at my house right now who's a member of that team working on the house outside. Wherever I can pass business, I have been doing, and like, it doesn't look the same as normal for us meeting on a Thursday morning, right? But what we've said to each other is, we are going to continue to meet, because normally the format of the meetings that I run, we bring positive contributions, and it's kind of part of being a member of that type of organization. You either bring a referral, or you bring a visitor, or you bring a testimonial, right? But normally we're quite strict on that, and it works really well for us. But what we've said is, obviously all bets are off, right? There's no expectation of anything or anybody to do anything apart from show up and take from this community what you need. So if you just, and I've said, look, every time you give your weekly presentation, if you've got something which would be considered one of the 3 kings, a referral, a visitor, or a testimonial, give it, right? That's still no problem. However, if you don't have one of those 3 kings, no problem. Just tell us one thing that's been positive about your week past. Yeah, whether it's something that's happened in your family, whether it's something that's happened on the street, or something that's happened in your business. What's been your one win this week? Do you know what I mean? Let's share that, and that makes this time worthwhile.
Because there are people out there. And I keep repeating myself on this, is within my network, majority of people, if not all, are glass half full, if not over brimming mentality. You're gone out and attacked it. But there are people there who just sat back and thought, well, my money's stopped, so I've stopped. And it's just like, right, okay, so what opportunities are out there? How can you be positive? Value time with your family, your relationships, things like that. Imagine by that strategy and approach that you've just spoke about, I imagine it's helped people believe that they can think positively. Okay, right,
Yeah.
I've thought about one thing that week. Actually, no, there was that as well. There was that. And it's just, has it helped change people's mindsets?
Definitely, and I think it you know, where you can make people accountable for being positive, not by forcing them to be positive, but just to create a space where we are asking you to dig deep, even if it's really hard for you right now, and it is hard for a lot of people. But let's dig deep, because it could be that you made the bed this morning, right? You made the bed, and that was your big win of the day. And you think about people that are suffering with mental health, right? You talk about people that drop off the bottom rung of the ladder. There's always something, there's one thing that you can look to in your day and say, you know what, today I had a win. And for those people that are in that place, it could be making the bed. It could be brushing the teeth. It could be putting a comb through their hair, right? And that needs to be celebrated, because that for them is a massive win. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's the little things that really matter. That really matter. Let's face it, James. Right? You and I are around business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, people that aren't afraid of change, that aren't afraid of risk. Right? They're the type of people that you and I have been around for a long time. So we're getting a lot of energy from people that understand how to navigate what we're going through right now, with a set of tools that they've developed through the resilience of building a risk profile, from working bloody hard, from believing in themselves, from following their dreams, right? But for me, I think the people that need the most support right now are the people that maybe are just, they're carrying on working as if nothing's changed, right? Or people that are employed where things haven't changed, right? Because for me, this is where one of the big costs out of all this will be. Because here you and I are, right? We're not frightened because we believe, right? We believe. Okay, we're not frightened by what our destiny brings. And again, I don't want to get religious or philosophical too much, but it's one of the things that sets entrepreneurs apart is and I always knew that I'd come home as an entrepreneur when I stopped being scared, right? And when I learned that lesson, I realized that I could do anything that I wanted to, within reason, of course, that I just had to make it happen, right? So you manifest the idea, you map it out, you build in resilience for failure, or resilience for things going in different directions, and be open to go down different tributaries on the main path. But you think about people where things haven't changed, they're going to work, they're in this madness of not really, they haven't stopped, right? So they've not got this opportunity to do the mind work that other people are. So what are we doing for those people?
Yeah. That's a very good point. Very good point indeed. Because the pros and cons, you've got people with time on their hands that might be struggling because they've got time on their hands, but also benefiting from that opportunity. Whereas, I haven't thought about it like that where people are able to continue doing what they were doing before, and they haven't got the advantage of taking a step back and resetting. So that's I haven't thought about that before, Andy.
Nobody expected. I mean, I'm 47. I did not expect to get a sabbatical. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want a sabbatical in your career, you've got to plan it 5 years in advance usually, haven't you? Particularly if you're working for a large organization. I mean, I've had friends that have taken 2-year sabbaticals. Do you know what I mean? And it's been a really, really positive experience for them, and they've gone back to the same businesses, and they're there, and it's been really positive. So who'd have thought that we'd have had a sabbatical?
I took a sabbatical, 18 months sabbatical in 2005, 2006. And like, yeah, I had to really work up to that. Just more for to plan and prep it and also save as well, save a lot of money to do.
Yeah, absolutely,
And just know the value of that completely. And yeah, people do need to, it's really, if they're not thinking positively about this, it's just super like encourage them to do so. Just a bit of a switch. One thing I'd love to ask, because we normally ask like certain questions and whatnot and see where that takes us, but we've just been like going out, which has been brilliant on philosophy and mindset, and I love it. And it's really, really cool. And just based on photography, and the one question that just popped into my head, which I'd love to ask, is what's your favourite photograph you've ever taken and why?
Oh, well, you know, I've been putting bread on my table with photography for 18 years now, and it's been a really, really wonderful journey. You know, for somebody that going through school was very logical, mathematical. You know, I mean, I didn't think for a moment. I had no idea that this was going to happen to me and I was going to end up a photographer. And I was always very, I always wanted to be creative because I suppose I really admired people at school that could draw, that could express themselves in a way that I couldn't, you know, and I suppose I thought, well, that'll never be me, you know what I mean? So I always kind of, you know, I did business studies at college and then degree level, and, you know, I was dead into accounts and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, photography grabbed me when I moved to the States right after my degree to work for Walt Disney down in Orlando. And the kid that I shared a room with was from Sheffield, and he was that creative kid, right? And he was an exceptional photographer. And I was just exposed to it, you know, that was in 1996. And all of a sudden I found a voice for this creative piece of me that I didn't know existed. And, you know, photography has been a language for me ever since I discovered it. And, you know, sometimes I freak myself out when I delve into the archive, because I can totally align certainly my personal work with, you know, the values and the philosophy that I have about life. And you know, I'm certainly not a landscape photographer by any stretch of the imagination. And you know, I suppose somebody once described my wedding work a couple of years ago, and I was like, really? Oh, I had no idea. Because I mean, I just, you know, I see things, I react to things, and I shoot things, and I don't really ever delve into it and pick it apart. But there's one special frame that I remember. My dad, God rest his soul, was like my biggest fan. He always said, "Oh, you should go abroad. You should get a job. You know, you should go to America. You should do Camp America. Get a job. Get a job." But you know, my career in photography really took off when I moved to Montreal. I'd spent 2 years in British Columbia working in Whistler Blackcomb as a photographer, and I moved to Montreal to follow a girl that I'd met on the ski resort. And when I got to Montreal, didn't know anybody at all. All I had was a British accent and a massive appetite to see where I could go with photography. So I started knocking on studio doors for, you know, photographers whose work that I appreciate. And I was like, I want to sweep your floors and organize your negatives. Any chance, you know, you can beat me senseless and not pay me and let me carry your bags for you, type thing. And within 6 months, I was working for 4 photographers, and one of they've all been mentors to me. And I ended up freelancing for all 4 of these photographers, and I still reach out to these 4 guys on a regular basis. And you know, I left Montreal in 2006, and I still regularly reach out to them to thank them for how they helped me. So I am getting to a point, I promise, James.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So one of the guys that I worked with was an exceptional photographer and an exceptional businessman called Jeff DeBell. And I second shot for him. And when you shoot weddings in Montreal, if you're downtown in Montreal, one of the places that you always take your clients was the Old Port, right? Which is, you know, the historical area, or right down on the St. Lawrence in the docks area. It's got some really, really beautiful old school cobbled streets. And you know, we're shooting this wedding, absolutely beautiful couple. And I captured an image of this couple doing something called what you call the dip. I'm sure you've seen the dip in like ballroom dancing and in ice dancing and stuff. And I don't do that anymore because it's not photojournalism and it's not, you know, nobody wants editorial style photography anymore, do they? Of course. But I got this image, which was like the perfect dip. Okay. And it when my dad saw that picture, I think he realized what I'd been doing for 10 years when I was overseas in North America. And he always used to say, that was your best picture ever. That was your best picture ever. And, you know, because of that connection to my dad, you know, I would say that it's probably one of the strongest pictures that I've shot. But you know, I mean, there are so many because I've traveled far and wide with my camera, and I've done so much, you know. So there's a million pictures, and I you know, one thing that's really important for me with photography, and this goes back to one of my dearest friends who I lived with in Canada, who was wise beyond his body and his frame, and he's dead now, God rest his soul. But my friend Tim McGee used to say to me, says, Croz, you know, the world doesn't need loads of photography, man. It just needs more good photography. Do you know what I mean? And I still shoot with digital cameras now, like I shoot with film. Right. When I shot with film, I was poor. Right. I couldn't afford to get the film, you know, processed, but I could afford a roll of film every other week. Right. And I'd go out on a walk in Montreal and I'd shoot 3 frames, and I'd only shoot. It had to be a really strong drive to shoot that picture. Yeah. And because I knew that I couldn't waste a frame. I could not waste one frame. That frame had to be right. And no, of course, I didn't get it right every single time. But some of the frames that I've got from that time are really, really strong. You know, because I just slowed down and I really focused on being present and thinking a lot before I actually hit the shutter.
Have you ever found yourself since, Andy, now with digital photography, you can just click away and you can take thousands of photographs to get that one that you wouldn't have got without taking thousands. So have you ever found yourself just giving yourself a little bit of discipline and saying, right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to, you limit yourself, you put limits on yourself in the way you used to?
Yeah. Definitely. Because again, for me, the richness of the experience with photography has been present, right? And like a camera is glass and metal, and all it is, it's an interface between these and that which is out there, you know. So I mean, like, I'm not looking to create something where I need a PhD to, you know, understand what my work's all about. Like, I'm not an academic photographer, I'm not a fine art photographer. But for me, certainly my personal work, when I go back to it and I look back on it, there's definitely meaning in it for me, because I was there, and I can certainly, you know, trace my journeys through distilling down, you know, each of the trips I've taken, or every time that I had a camera, really trying to find the strongest thing that comes out of that shoot, you know, and then have that be an image that you put on the top shelf. Do you know what I mean? And like I like to do workshops, you know, and I recently went on a workshop with a great street photographer called Kevin Mullins, and what he had us do was really cool, actually. He had us stand on a street corner. Hold up. Sorry, somebody just tried to call. Where are you, James? There you go. Yeah, he had us stand on a street corner with our iPhones, right? And, you know, the voice memo function on your iPhone, sound
Yeah.
recorder. He said, just stand on the street corner and record the sounds that you hear, right, for 5 minutes. Listen to that back, okay, and then go make a set of pictures based on what you just heard.
Wow.
And we were in Liverpool. Me and my pal were in Liverpool when we did this. This workshop, and we did it together. And actually, when I look at the set of pictures that I actually made it into a little kind of audio-visual slideshow, and I used the sounds that I'd captured with some music and those images, and it really changed the way that I shot in that time.
Well, what a way to approach, something that's so visual, but has so much more depth into its approach. That's incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Andy, we're going to have to cut it short. We could carry on for another 2 or 3 hours. There's loads I haven't even tried.
I know, 2 or 3 days probably, pal. We should syndicate.
We should definitely do that. I'll get a virtual background ready in place for next time we do this as well.
I quite like your space there.
Yeah. It's not too shabby. Yeah. Well, before we cut off, Andy, where can people find you? What's your website and your social hooks?
Well, I'm right there. Look, in the outer rim. That's where I can be found right now. So website is has all of our work on there, has a lot of blogs on there. Pretty active on Facebook and Instagram, and my own personal Facebook page as well. I've been putting a lot of stuff out there, which my recent series called "What's on My Breakfast Plate" has been getting quite a lot of traction.
I've seen that pop up.
Yeah, I've also been hyperlapsing some of my long hikes, which has been quite cool. Because the thing is, with the hiking, for people that are in the cities, they're not seeing what I'm seeing. They're not allowed to walk. They're not allowed to drive out to South Cave to hit the Droopendale and the Ellentondale. And I've got this real. I just can't believe how lucky I am. Do you know what I mean? Because it's right at my doorstep, and I'm not breaking any rules by what I'm doing. So I've been filming my walks and hyperlapsing it, taking with a GoPro here, taking a picture every 5 seconds and putting a little story together.
Nice.
And meeting some people out on the trail. I met this beautiful 89-year-old ex-PE teacher the other day, and we had a jolly good old chat, and I photographed her, and she had this bright red jacket on against a striking cloudy bluebird cloudy day sky. Amazing. You know what I mean? So there's definitely my personal Facebook's got some weird shit on there as well, but
weird and wonderful.
Yeah. I'm trying to be as active as possible on there, and So I mean, if you drop all the links down there, I'm sure people can, and the one thing I would say, James, if anybody needs anything, like I'm here to help. If anybody wants to chat, if anybody, wants to talk about anything that we've talked about today, to, dig deeper, drill down, just hit me up, and I'd love to share whatever I can with anybody that needs anything. Yeah.
Awesome, I appreciate it. And just for our podcast listeners, is that insightphotography.com or .co.uk?
No, so we're at insightphotographers.co.uk.
Right.
Yeah, www.insightphotographers.co.uk. I mean,
And
we are building.
Same for your social hooks as well? Same for your social hooks?
Oh, Christ. You asked me this before, so bear with. So we are... Yeah, Facebook, we are Insight Photographers. Yeah, and then Instagram, Insight_photographers.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, if you drop those links in the...
Absolutely. Yes, up there, down there.
Yeah, over there. But,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just if anybody needs anything, James, I'm more than happy to help anybody with anything that I can. Absolutely no problem. If anybody needs anything picking up, from the pharmacy, whatever, just holler.
That's awesome, Andy. Well, that is the reason why we set up the Business Lockdown, is to connect with amazing people like yourself and just to add value and offer support in a variety of ways, which we know we are doing to thousands of people. So
absolutely,
very much appreciated, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Always great to hook up, and also thanks to you and Phil and your team you've obviously mobilised onto this really quickly. And I did actually share one of your posts the other day. It was one of the daily quotes that you'd put up, and I used it in my BNI meeting last week.
Lovely.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's great that we're all sharing so much.
Andy Crozier, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, mate.
Love you, baby. See you later.
Ciao for now.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business Lockdown.
Please comment, like, share and subscribe to help build our global community.
We look forward to seeing you all soon.